So I set up a second greenhouse. One, I did need one. I have many trays of peppers and tomatoes I need to up pot. But I initially wasn't planning on adding one right away. However, I pretty much got this one for free. When I ordered this one off Amazon, it came without the lower pieces. All these lower pieces here. And I emailed the company and said, hey, can you just send me these pieces? They're labeled number 3. The box didn't come with any of them. And they sent me a whole nother greenhouse. And that's the one that's over next to this that my husband set up completely. But we had this one sitting without these pieces, and I have all these tomatoes, and I'm just not a waste type person. I'm like, why not try and figure out how to put it together? So we went and got rebar, PVC, and some top pieces and kind of formed our own bottom pieces. I need to go through and stabilize it still somehow better because we are missing the lower bar on there. But as you can see, it's holding up, and it even rained yesterday. So do I feel bad? A little. I mean, I basically got a $200 greenhouse for practically free, but I did just ask the company for the parts. It was very nice of them that they just sent me a whole nother greenhouse instead, I guess. So now I do have 2 greenhouses. So but I wanted to touch on the stuff I've already screwed up. So I have started seeds before, but never on this level, we'll say. And I've already made plenty of mistakes in the past that I've learned from, but I learned some new ones. So I've already learned about leggy seedlings. You know, you really, if you're going to start seedlings, you really have to have a grow light. Otherwise, I mean, a windowsill just isn't going to cut it. And 2, I have figured out, at least for me, tomatoes do not multi-sow. I mean, if you thinly multi-sow them, however, when you're pulling them out and you're pulling roots out, you do lose some to shock, kind of. I mean, that was a nice big one there that you see flopped over. And even watering well, the roots in tomatoes, I will say, grow so fast, they intertwine, and I just did not do as well multi-sowing tomatoes as I did peppers. I mean, if you've seen my last video, like, I literally threw a handful of seeds in a container of peppers. They separated fine. They're all doing fine. Like, peppers are just so easy. I'm doing much better with separating them out in like peat pellets, but I don't want to waste money on peat pellets. And these things are super flimsy. We've had them basically bend in the middle. We've lost plants. I mean, that's horrible, which brings me to the other mistake I made, which is spending a bunch for really crappy trays. So what I first started off with was, you know, ones like this. And when you're trying to pack dirt in these, they just bend and they don't work well. So then I did invest in some Bootstrap farmer ones, and these ones are amazing. I can push the dirt into them. I can even take this tray on top of itself and use that to push down. Instead of poking into each one of these cells to pack down the dirt, I can just take another one and put it on top of this and use that to push the dirt down in there. So I really should not have gone the way of cheap trays. You know, I think having something as sturdy as this inside of just one of these cheaper ones, like I got a bunch of these for $1.30 from my local farm supply, and I think you can get away that way just using it for watering because this cell tray is so much sturdier. But I definitely would not go cheap on both of them, because I'm going to tell you the other mistake I made was I first tried to make my own potting mix of just cheap peat moss and some vermiculite, perlite, whatever one is the fluffier one, and it did not work. it was so chunky and so, I don't know what, but these guys have been in here for like a week or two and haven't grown. Some of them haven't moved at all. And the peppers that I planted in some of them, they were coming out deformed because they were hitting chunks like this and they couldn't even grow around it. So I scrapped this stuff and went and got a Pro Mix potting soil and mixed it with compost 1-in-1. But I didn't screen it. And the problem I was having is I would grab handfuls with stuff like this and I would be trying to press it into these trays, and I mean, I couldn't pack them down. They were just bending. They were splitting. I'm trying to hold the tray up and pack the dirt in them, and they're just ripping. And so these things, got those off Amazon too. They were cheap. Not worth it. So I should have screened my dirt. I should have invested in better seed cell trays. I could have just gotten these instead of the peat pellets. Now, that being said, I am liking starting the more sensitive root things in there, like cucumbers, zucchini, squash, because I don't necessarily like starting seeds in the big dirt, because then you water and the seed falls down in, and that doesn't work either. Oh, that one didn't make it. So yeah, I did shock. I mean, when you're digging out tomatoes, when you're digging them out, even if they're nice and look good and you water the heck out of them, you will still have some of them just shock and die. So next year I'm not multi-sowing tomatoes. I will definitely continue to do peppers. Peppers did amazing multi-seeded in a container, and I could pick them apart so easy, but not tomatoes. I will start them in something like this and then just pick them out and repot them. So let's see, what else did I screw up so far? Not enough lighting, leggy plants, which happens. I lost a lot of tomatoes to that. Peppers, those easily, I mean, they don't even seem to get the wrong shelving. I had plants collapsed. I'm also going to say that for time, if you're planning on selling seedlings, like we're planning on having a plant sale for my kid, don't up pot more than necessary. I mean, I germinated the peppers and then I put them into cells like this. Now I'm going to have to pot them up again and separate them, and it takes time. Like, splitting up like one of these 72 cells, so separating all the plants, separating all of the pots, which I'm hoping next year to go paper and not have, be plastic free. Putting all the dirt in there and then filling the dirt around it. It took me an hour to do all these plants. So every time you have to up pot, that's doubling your time there. And then you do lose some seedlings, and then you're paying for the light, and the other greenhouse I'm even heating because I have peppers and it's supposed to be cold. It's just easier to start them in something, I would say, like this one, and then up pot them just one time. So yeah, I guess, ouch, my shoulder's all screwed up on top of everything else. So I'm going to have to repot these because they haven't even grown. Yeah, so those are the things I've probably wasted the most time with, was not screening my dirt, cheap trays, not planning right. Yeah, but it's all learning. So next year should be better, and I'm gonna have, let's see, that greenhouse, we're actually moving and we're contemplating meat rabbits. Don't come for me. The way the world is, it doesn't hurt to be more prepared. Plus, the rabbit manure is just amazing. So we might scoot that one down and turn that one there into the meat rabbit one. And then I have a hard plastic Harbor Freight that we're going to set up in this spot, coming out here. We'll set up a hard plastic Harbor Freight one that will keep heated in the winter for starting the seeds smaller, so I don't fill my house up again. So, but I figure 2 more weeks and we should have our first plant sale. We'll see how that goes.